I want to congratulate you first because this is your first movie and you've achieved like the thing that some directors don't achieve in a lifetime.
Nobody said it like that. Thank you. That's terrifying.
No, I know.
Why don't you go over and introduce yourself?
Dad, they're like kids. Why don't you go over and introduce yourself?
I want to focus on something that I love. This girl trying to, the word is reconcile with her father. The father she knew, but she maybe didn't know the man. And that's amazing because the question, and the very difficult question is, how well can we know a person, right?
Yeah, absolutely. How well can we know ourselves?
Exactly.
I think that's absolutely true. I think you can never truly know another person.
Exactly.
I think we are all alone fundamentally in the world.
And where did that come from?
Yeah, I mean, I think it came from my own experience.
Okay.
I don't consider the film autobiographical, but the starting point for the characters was definitely my experience and trying to process some feelings around grief and the loss of my dad was definitely like a fundamental start point for the film. And from that emerged bigger questions like, can two people have a really positive and happy and fun shared experience and more complicated individual experiences? You know, can you really know a parent, especially as a child? What is your perception of them outside the role that they perform for you? Almost non-existent. Wow. You know?
Yeah. You did this short Tuesday, 2015, and what was the line you draw to make a movie about that? Because you had to have a different direction, but I guess it's also scary that the duration of something is going to be different and then you have to think bigger, right?
I didn't think of those films as linked until about a month ago.
Really?
It just didn't even occur to me.
Okay.
They're
completely different.
They obviously are. I think this is in many ways a continuation of that, and when I considered it, I realized that I started working on Aftersun shortly after I made Tuesday, and I think it was because I still had something to say and something to express and something to discover, most importantly for myself. But I didn't really draw that line because I continued to make shorts throughout that process. And I think stylistically, this film has more in common with my last short especially.
Okay.
And so I spent more time thinking about a stylistic progression than I did of this as a thematic continuation of that first short film.
The actors of the movie have an amazing chemistry.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if you did something for them to bond before filming.
I just gave them time.
Okay.
We gave them 2 weeks before we started shooting together in Turkey. I spent an hour, maximum 2, with them every morning. But otherwise, it was just the 2 of them on holiday together by the beach, in the pool, having ice cream. Paul had some responsibility for her during those times, so I think began to feel what it meant to be responsible for somebody, even if only in a small way. But it was really down to them to build that relationship, and fortunately they got on, because I think there was like a wild card element to that. There is some degree of luck that everybody likes each other, and I feel very, very grateful that we all liked each other, and they were both partners in this, to me and to each other.
How did you find them?
It was a long process for Frankie. We started to look for Sophie first, 6 months, almost 800 kids.
Wow.
Which we narrowed down to 16 that we met in person. And up until that point, we had given them exercises to do, record videos, speak on Zoom with our casting director, where they could gradually grow with the process, get more comfortable in front of the camera, just so that we could learn a little bit more about them every time. And then we met these 16 in person, and Frankie was just amazing.
Wow.
Really surprised us, was just, clearly had an ability to act, like an innate talent that she had no awareness of at all. And then once we had started to figure out who Sophie was, when we were down to our last few, we began in earnest the search for Callum, and That was a process too, and Paul had come up as a possibility early in that process, but he was unavailable because he was shooting God's Creatures. And then our production dates shifted, and so we had the opportunity to share the script. I spoke with him, and it was just one of those amazing conversations where you really connect with somebody, and he understood the script on a level that I think very few people had. It was just, it felt right.
Wow. I saw him on Normal People. That's the first time I saw him on screen. And
Yeah.
wow, they have a bright future
Yeah,
ahead,
no,
right?
they're both fantastic,
Yeah.
and he was wonderful on that show. And I first met him, I think, about a year after Normal People had aired.
We were talking before filming this interview that we are in the Morelia Film Festival, and you're here, and Barry Jenkins is here,
Yeah.
and he's one of the producers of your movie. What have you learned of him?
I mean, I sat through Moonlight yesterday, and it's been a long time since I've seen it in a cinema, and had forgotten how, like, the degree to which that inspired me when I first started writing this project. To the point where there's one scene specifically that didn't make the final cut of the film, that when I watched Moonlight I thought, oh my God, I totally took that from Moonlight. But he's just been an amazing resource and person to give feedback and notes and guidance whenever I need it, somebody to talk to about the process and the experience, like a creative voice and mentor, and he's been an amazing advocate for the film. And it was his producer, Adela Romansky, who I first sent the script to, and we first met over 5 years ago now and developed the project together. So I owe Pastel, which is Adela, Barry, and their business partner, Mark Sariak, a great deal for supporting this project and giving it their backing.
How do you feel about your movie being so successful and being like everyone wants to watch it? I tried to get tickets, and the movie theater was already full, right? How do you feel about that?
It's very surreal. I was thinking about what I'm going to say in my introduction tonight, and one of the things I'm going to say is that when we first screened the film in Semaine de la Critique at Cannes, nobody had any expectations, nobody had any context, and I think that is how the film is best experienced. And I think what's tricky now is we're fighting that a little bit because people have liked the film, fortunately, so far, and I think that raises expectations. I'm trying to keep them level. But it's felt amazing. We had no idea if people would connect with the film, how legible our film would be to broader audiences, and it's been really special to hear people's responses and to see people connect.
Are you already thinking about what's coming next? Are you enjoying this? How do you feel?
I'm enjoying this. I'm
Okay.
trying to. It's really nice to share the experience with the team and everybody who worked so hard to make it, and just enjoy, like you said, a really special moment that you can never take for granted at any point in your career. And I feel very lucky to be in this position with my first film. It's very surreal. I try not to think about it too much. And then what's next? I'm not sure. I'm enjoying the moment.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Me too.